So interesting discussion point here, Will. Um, kind of the outside narrative shaping things. Billy Napier went kind of deep into that. I wanted to share that because it's pretty interesting comments here. Like I said, good discussion points. And so Billy Napier was asked, "Do you have to fight the urge to ease up at this point when you got a good team, they get to this point, they put in all the work to start worrying about getting them all to the starting line healthy?" And Napier responded, "I think that we adapt the way we format the practices as we move towards the season. But the work is the work. Look, I don't think we can buy into any narrative about this team. This team has got this team. This team has got to this team to going to have the opportunity to define themselves. So being ranked, people telling you got a good team, you're capable. To me, that's an insult. They tell you that they might be, they're capable, they're scary. Well, to me, that's an insult. So we're going to get to the side with how we play. So I think ultimately that's what we have to prepare, and then we'll get to go play, and we will decide. And I think that's what our focus is on. So then, with the follow-up, if that's an insult, what's a compliment before you play the game? Yeah, we're not going to connect any outside opinion to our confidence or how we prepare, Napier said, or others' opinions. We're not connecting our confidence to that, for sure. Okay, we have to get consumed with improving in our process and being our best, each player bringing their best so we can be our best. And if everyone continues to improve, and I'm talking about the staff as much as players, that's all you can worry about. And at the end of the day, see what the score is. So, of course, that's kind of taken a life of its own since the press conference. And some of the fan base is really liking the response there from Billy Napier. Hey, look, it's true. And for me, for the player aspect side of this, Will, is, look, you did taste success at the end of last year. You know what it tastes like now. You know what it takes to go compete against some, the top tier of the SEC a bit more. But here's the thing. It was only a little bit. You haven't accomplished anything yet. I mean, this is the first time there has been some good feeling coming into a season, coming out of a season for Florida. We all remember the November collapses of year one and year two under Billy Napier. Well, this was the complete opposite of that. And there's some good feelings in the program. So, but look, they haven't accomplished anything yet. This team, these players have lost a lot more games than they've won since they've been on this field for Florida. So, there should be this, hey, we're not satisfied with what happened at the end of last year. We don't care that now people will finally rank us. There's still a lot for us to prove. And kind of going to your point earlier, Will, it is talking season. We've heard a lot of this kind of similar talk a little bit, like nobody knows what I know about this team. I remember Napier saying that a year ago or whatever. So there is a little bit of talking season. But at the same time, I think there does have to be a message sent to players, to staff, that there is some roses being thrown our way right now. But we have to remember. We have to remember what it felt like against Miami, what it felt like against Texas A&M, those heartbreakers against Tennessee and Georgia. That's the next step. That is the next step. And it's not just going to automatically happen because you had a nice November and bowl game to end last year.
Yeah, there's a couple of things here. One is it would have been a lot shorter for you to read, especially if Napier just said rat poison, because that's pretty much what he said there.
Pretty much.
He got up there and just said rat poison. Like, we're not gonna ingest that stuff. And certainly that's one of the places he comes from. And so he talked a lot about process. He talked a lot about doing what you can do and controlling what you can control and looking up at the scoreboard. That comes directly from Coach Saban's playbook, and so not a complete surprise to hear that from him. I think the thing is like it's not really that much rat poison. I mean, basically the media is saying you're not going to suck this year. Like they're picking them like somewhere between 13th and 20th overall when you look at like the initial polls for the season. And that's like Wisconsin. Wisconsin ends up somewhere between 13th and 20th. Iowa, who hasn't had a quarterback since 1908, they picked them somewhere between 13th and 20th. Like Texas A&M, go 8-4 and finish 23rd every year, right? Like Miami, because they stay in the ACC, usually ends up in that 13th to 20th range. Like it's nice. Like that's a nice season to end up between 13th and 20th. But that ain't good enough, the University of Florida. And certainly with what Napier was saying a couple of weeks ago about practicing like you're trying to go for a championship and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I guess, you're talking about tasting success last year in 4 games and everybody's talking you up and all that sort of stuff. I mean, not really. They're still saying you get just butt kicked by Texas, Georgia, and somebody else. Like, if they're picking you at 13th, like, they expect you to have at least 3 losses. And so, I struggle with if the team struggles
Josh
to get
Pate
motivated.
did pick him in the playoff today. Or yesterday.
I mean, hell, I have them in the playoff too, but I have 9-3, right? No one's picking them to go 12-0.
Yeah.
Right. No one's picking them to even go 11-1. I think most of us see 10-2 to 8-4.
Well, even if you are picking Florida for the playoff, you're not picking them to go to Atlanta. Nobody's picking them to go to Atlanta.
Well, there you go, right? So, I mean, it's like, hey, you're a good team. You're not a great one. It's like, you're not going to suck. You're not going to be Vanderbilt, right? You're not going to be Kentucky. Like, we'll be able to actually pencil you in with no one will bet in the Vanderbilt game because you'll be I know we don't play Vanderbilt, but still, you know what I mean, right? Like yes. The lines when in Florida's heyday, when they played Vandy or when they played Kentucky, it was like a 45-point spread, or they just didn't have one on the board because it was so ridiculous no one would bet, right? Like those sorts of things, like. When you get back to that, now you can start talking to me about rat poison expectations. I mean, literally, basically, the question right now in the media is, well, if you had to pick somebody, would it be Florida or South Carolina? Mm-hmm. Come on, South Carolina, that's who you're being compared to. So, look, and it's funny because the exact polar opposite is the one that I keep railing against, which is I think LSU is just going to completely faceplant this year. I think they're going to be 1-2 coming out of that game in Baton Rouge against Florida. And the overwhelming just benefit of the doubt that they're giving a team with a limited quarterback and 4 new offensive linemen is just mind-boggling to me when I look at what their season is to start with. So, it goes both ways, right? I mean, I'd be much more concerned about the rat poison if I was in Baton Rouge than I am in Gainesville. Like in Gainesville, it's like, hey, you guys are like 15th. You still got something to prove. In Baton Rouge, like, hey, you guys are a top 5 team, even though you got to replace half your roster. And, so anyway, we'll see. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. Maybe LSU will go flying through everything. But I don't know. I'm put it this way. My DraftKings account suggests that I really, really, really don't have confidence in LSU.
I mean, but like going to Napier's point, it is different this year. This is a different set of expectations, a different set of messaging that is different out there about Florida than it has been. But certainly, I think this thing, hey, you've got your teeth kicked in way too much the last few years. I don't care if people were picking Florida to go be number 1. Anyway, you haven't proven anything yet, and that's what. And we all want to see it.
I mean, we were literally a win against LSU or a loss against LSU away from running the guy out of town with pitchforks, right? So it's like we're like just right teeter on the edge last year. And certainly the hope of Lagway and the streak at the end makes us feel a lot more sanguine about this year. But when I said I have an entire article in our preseason magazine that just says the Billy Napier conundrum. I understand why people are sitting on the fence going, I see all the talent on this team. I see the talent at the quarterback position. I see all the returning guys, and I just don't trust that guy in a big game to get me over the hump and get us to a place where we're going to have an edge. Because look, I mean, you watch any team that wins a championship, and there's a game where they don't deserve to win, and they find a way to win, either because the quarterback does something goofy or because the coach does something that gives this team an edge, or you get a wonky turnover from some sort of defensive play call that just completely throws the opposing quarterback for a loop. Like there's always something. Like you think about like even the Saban teams early on in the Alabama era with like Terrence Cody blocking a field goal against a clearly inferior Tennessee team, right? So those sorts of things have to happen in seasons where you're going to have a magical run. And I think that's really sort of like, honestly, the question I have is, for all of the talk of scared money don't make money and that sort of stuff as an attitude, the question I have coming into this year is, now that you got your horses, now that you've got the guys you want in position to do that sort of stuff, are you actually going to live up to that moniker? Are you going to go out there and find your team edges by going for it on 4th down, by being a little bit unconventional, by, if you're going to run out of the pistol 80% of the time, well, now all of a sudden we got to take a couple of shots on 3rd and short or 4th and short out of that position to make sure that teams can't just absolutely sell out for those those sorts of things. And so that's, to me, the key question here isn't necessarily the attitude of the players. It's the attitude of the coaches. Do the coaches have confidence in those guys that they've recruited, that they've developed, and that they've put in position? Do they now come out game one fully confident that these guys are a championship team? I think if Napier goes out aggressive and really, I've been calling for 3 years. My favorite game that Billy Napier coached was a loss. It was a game against Tennessee in his first year where he just basically let Anthony Richardson go crazy. And every fourth down, they were going for it, and they were chucking the ball all over the place. And Richardson wound up with like 400 yards passing at the end of the game. And the game was close. I mean, they got an onside kick at the end and almost came back. But everything he did in that game gave Florida an edge to make that way closer than it should have been. And the question I have really for all of this stuff is there's an attitude for the players, and they have to go. I mean, when the ball's rolled out on the field, they got to be ready to go. But are the coaches going to be ready to go too? Are the coaches going to say, we've prepared you guys and we're going to put full confidence in you as well because we think you're a championship team and we think that if we give you the freedom to be aggressive and the freedom to go take those chances and to get those edges that you're going to get it for us? And that's to me a big part of what we're going to find out, especially September 13th when they go to Baton Rouge.
Well said, Will. Like that. That was almost like a locker room speech right there.
Hey, time to go, man. We only got a week and a half left.
There we go.